Hey everybody, took a trip to the Florida Keys, and if you've never been, there are direct flights from many U.S. cities, lots of flights really, including from Orlando, Tampa, Miami, as well as some northern cities that come directly into Key West Airport, which certainly is not a bad deal if you have a short trip planned, but at least once you should try to drive the trip between Miami and Key West. It's probably about a 3-hour drive depending on traffic, but it's a very scenic drive depending on the position of the sun as you get to see the really tropical waters as shown here. I'm going to show just a few clips of a drive between Miami and Key West. This is showing the 7-mile bridge. You may recognize the old railroad bridge off to the right there that was featured in the True Lies movie. I believe that had Arnold Schwarzenegger and who was it, Sigourney Weaver? I don't remember. In any case, there was a chase scene on top of that bridge, as well as an atomic bomb blast scene from, I think, from Bahia, Honda at the end of that movie. There's a famous tree near the southern end, or western end, I should say, of the 7-mile bridge on the old bridge, and the tree is called Fred. It actually even shows up on the GPS on the Tesla as Fred the tree. I'm not sure how many trees show up on the GPS map, but he's fairly well known and has survived some hurricanes, of course. Presumably was delivered as a seed inside of bird poop and grew into the concrete and has been thriving since there's plenty of rain in the area. But no real soil to speak of other than the parts of the concrete bridge up ahead. Now we're coming up on the Bahia Honda State Park area, which is really the only sand beach available outside of Smathers Beach in Key West, which really isn't that nice. But Bahia Honda, at one time about 10 years ago, was rated amongst the top 2 or 3 beaches in America. It has a lot of sargasso weed that for some reason they decided it was a good idea to leave on the beach. So most of the time the beach is not as nice as it used to be, but it's still a very pretty park with a couple of public beaches and a historic railroad bridge that was turned into a highway bridge that you'll see up here on the left as we get a little closer. They actually built a car road on top of the drain trestle. The bridge has been closed for some time now, and due to oxidation of the metal parts, pieces are falling off. But the very first part, on the eastern part of the bridge, you can climb up a hill and get a nice view from the top of that. As you can see, they've cut through a section of the bridge to let taller ships and boats pass through. Bahia Honda is because this is one of the deepest channels across the overseas highway. And when I say deep, this is probably 20 feet deep. Much of the water in the Keys is less than 5 feet deep, and much of it is actually less than 2 feet deep. And the bottom is coral, and like concrete, very bad for your boat if you hit it, both because you will damage your boat and because you'll get a fine if you scratch the bottom. So navigating in this area, it really helps to have a GPS to show you the depth and what areas are safe to navigate depending on the draft of your boat. But this is the Bahia Honda Bridge off in the distance on the left, and of course I'm driving over the modern bridge here. Because of the trestle, there wasn't really enough space to drive cars on where the railroad tracks are like there are on some of the other bridges. And they have a ramp here leading up to the top of the trestle. Almost every bridge going to Key West has got a different type of construction depending on the nature of the water that had to be crossed And this is the Long Key Bridge, which also has some nice tropical colors in the water. So it's really a beautiful drive that I highly recommend you do at least once or twice, as you owe it to yourself to see these views, which are probably not really available most any other place in the continental U.S. I'll also mention, in case you didn't know, that many places the old railroad bridge is left up, and in many of these areas it's been converted into fishing piers, and people fish pretty much 24/7 on these piers. And you'll see people with tents and chairs and coolers and so on, even in the middle of the night, with lights and so forth, to avoid the mosquitoes and to avoid getting melanoma from sun exposure. Here you can see some fishermen off on the right side, which was the old railroad bridge next to the modern bridge that I'm actually driving over. And that's a wrap for this video. If you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Comments are welcome below. The video was recorded on Insta360 X4 camera.